Welcome back to the Who's Yanks. Bienvenue à la Who's Yanks. We talking Canada soccer and U.S. soccer. And seriously, welcome back. It's been a long time since I did a video, and apologies for that. I just finished up the first summer session of classes, and now we get a little week off before we get into the next summer session of classes. But nonetheless, that in short, basically what I'm saying is I didn't have time to do a video kind of breaking down the U.S. women's roster, what they called up before this game. So now we're going to be doing a combined video. So before I talk about tonight's game, which the USA, by the way, beat Colombia 3-0. Before I talk about that, I do want to do a quick rundown of the names that have been called into the roster for Vlatko Andonovski's U.S. women's national team in preparation for the CONCACAF Women's Championship. Keep in mind, this is an all-important tournament, and everything is on the line here. World Cup, Olympic qualifying, both those qualifyings are on the line. In Mexico, by the way, so not in the U.S., all games will be played in Mexico. And so just a reminder, if you needed it, why this tournament is so important for U.S. and Canada too, which I'm going to do a video on later on. But since the U.S. played today, we'll be talking about the U.S. So nonetheless, to keep this video pretty short, as I said, unfortunately, I'm not going to have time to break down the names and each name on the roster. But I probably will. I'm going to spend a little time talking about, a kind of what I like to see and what I kind of notice right off the bat. So without further ado, let's start with our goalkeepers that have been called in for this two-game camp. By the way, the U.S. will play Colombia again on Tuesday. I'm forgetting the date. It's the 28th, I believe. Yes, it is the 28th. Tuesday at 28th, so they'll be playing again in real Salt Lake or Salt Lake City, Utah. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get to the goalkeepers. So we have Aubrey Kingsbury, Casey Murphy, and Alyssa Nair. By the way, I think Casey Murphy got the start today, but Alyssa Nair and Aubrey Kingsbury, one of those two might get the start in the next game. I think Alyssa Nair might do so in the Salt Lake City game, as this is the final preparation, and so we'll see how Vlatko Andonovski lines up here. As we'll get into the roster for tonight's game later on, but this is your goalkeepers, your three goalkeepers that have been called up for this whole camp as well as for the whole tournament. It looks like who's going to Mexico. For your defenders, you have Alana Cook, Emily Fox, Naomi Germa, Sofia Huerta, Kelly O'Hara, Carson Pickett, Becky Sauerbrunn, and Emily Sonnet. Carson Pickett is a new name for me, but nonetheless, we do have a mix of old and new so far with Becky Sauerbrunn and Emily Sonnet, Kelly O'Hara, with a mix of Sofia Huerta, Naomi Germa, and even Carson Pickett. So few names there. Call it your defenders there for the USA. And then your midfielders, you have Sam Coffey. I hope I'm saying these names right, by the way. If I butcher any names wrong, I'm sorry. Sam Coffey, Lindsey Haran, Jalen Howell, Taylor Korniak. She scored today, actually, which I'm going to talk about her. But Taylor Korniak is a new name. Roosevelt, Christy Mewis, Ashley Sanchez, and Andy Sullivan. And, of course, same themes going on here. Old and new mix here. We have Roosevelt and Taylor Korniak, who is new. Jalen Howell, Lindsey Haran, which we've seen before. Ashley Sanchez and Andy Sullivan. So you got some mix of new names and old names here for your midfielders. And then finally for your forwards, Ashley Hatch, which is a relatively new name. Alex Morgan, which everybody knows is one of the veterans. Mallory Pugh, Mitch Purse, and Megan Rapinoe, not Margaret Rapinoe, Trinity Rodman, and Sophia Smith. So got two veterans here, of course, Megan Rapinoe and Alex Morgan, which both names will have two. We'll be talking about that later on. Sophia Smith, or another name we'll be talking about later on. Trinity Rodman, which we didn't see this game, but we'll probably see next game. But yeah, nonetheless, same theme, mix of old and new. And now with our overall names off the bat, let's go to our starting 11. So for tonight's game, it was Casey Murphy, Alana Cook, Becky Sauerbrunn, Kelly O'Hara, Ashley Hatch, Mallory Pugh, Lindsey Haran, Sophia Smith, Roosevelt, Andy Sullivan, Emily Fox. And it was a pretty good game. So we started off just the whole first half, basically if I can say it right, the entirety of the first half. Colombia did a phenomenal job. I mean, they did for the rest of the game too, but they did a phenomenal job stressing out the U.S. and really getting in their heads and really making it difficult to break them down. As this is another test. This whole game is another test to see, can the U.S. break down a low block? Once again, teams can put eight women in this case behind the ball, maybe even more than that, and just defend it and just really, really get in other teams, your opponent's head. So they did that, and you got to give Colombia credit. In the first half, I mean, the U.S. they had 12 shots, only 3 of those were on target, but none of them really caused any concern, as well as even frustrate the U.S. Although in the 42nd minute, there was an interesting penalty call. I mean, this is disputed, but it doesn't matter anyway. But I don't know if you guys agree or not. You guys think this is a penalty? In the replay, it looks like she did take her out cleanly, or not clean. Nothing's clean about the tackle, unless they get all the ball. But in this case, she took him out with both legs, and it's a penalty, and something I did not see until they showed the replay. So looking back on that, was a great call. And yeah, Sophia Smith, once again, I mean, she caused a lot of havoc in the back for Colombia. They could not find a way to stop her, bring her down, besides foul her. So that was pretty big there. But nonetheless, it is a penalty. Colombia is furious as they don't think it's a penalty, but this doesn't matter anyway, as Lindsey Horan steps up and takes it, and it's saved by Perez, and it's still 0-0. That's the way we go into halftime. And as I said, the U.S. missed some great wide-open chances, but you've got to be more clinical in the final third. As I said, they've done everything right, or a lot of things right in midfield, but just couldn't finish. Like, we go to, specifically, 2 chances I remember, distinct chances in the first half. One of which where the U.S. had a ball, there was wide open net. All you had to do was tap it in, and it just always went wide right or wide left of the post, or even one that just went nearly away and just missed altogether. So there's just 2 of the many examples that the U.S. had where they could have finished and they could have buried their chances. This game could have easily been a lot more, but then again, a lot of the chances too were saved by Perez. She had a great game for Colombian net. Kudos to her, and you can't take anything away from her. I mean, she played really, really well. She saved another penalty if we're going to talk about, which before that, in the 54th minute, Roosevelt dribbles it forwards and makes a fantastic pass. I mean, a beautiful pass to Sophia Smith. I mean, this one just goes right to her. You can't ask for another pass on a silver platter like that. And Sophia Smith buries it. And finally, the USA with a breakthrough, 1-0 USA. And it took, 54 minutes in, the USA finally find a way to crack the Colombian defense. And this goal was pretty paramount, as one of the announcers said. Now, given how the game has been going for the U.S., is this going to be the goal that dictates or just breaks the dam for the USA and just allows a lot of goals in, or will this be a wake-up call for Colombia for them to fire back? Because keep in mind, this Colombian team was a lot better, and as I said, kudos to them. They played. Last time the U.S. played Colombia, I think it was last year. They haven't played in like a year, and I think the USA won decently, like 4-0, 5-0. I don't know what the exact scoreline is, but it was a nifty win for the USA. And in this case, we see a difference. It's day and night, in my opinion, for the Colombian national team. So kudos to what they did over there, as this team was a lot better and definitely tested the USA more than last time they played. And then again, this was a whole year later, so you would hope to see improvement over a year, but that's to me, that's still a dramatic turnaround. They hadn't played in a year, and they were able to frustrate the USA and really make it hard for them to break them down at certain times. So kudos to Colombia, and I'm going to be saying that later on too. But in the 60th minute, once again, so 6 minutes later, another pass once again for Roosevelt, once again to Sophia Smith, and she buries it once again for a second goal and a second link up between those 2 players. And it's 2-0 Yanks. Both those players, Lavelle and Smith, have combined for the second time in a row now to get the USA their second on the board. And it's a big goal because, as I said, the first goal kind of dictated what would happen for the next. And it turns out, not really a damn break, but certainly another big goal for the USA that they scored and dictated the game and really set the tone of the match. As the USA, they possessed the ball all game long, but the only thing is they said they were lacking was finishing in the final third. And finally, as the game grew on, as they began to grow into it and begin to bury chances into it. But we go on in the 68th minute. Ashley Sanchez, by the way, she was a recent dual commit from Mexico, filing a one-time switch to the USA. She sends the ball into Alex Morgan, and Alex Morgan is tackled in the box, and you already know what that means. Penal, penalty for the U.S. And now, I mean, it's the second penalty game. Question is, Perez saved the first one. Now, can she save the second one? Roosevelt steps up to take this one this time, and she steps up to take it, and once again, Perez with a beautiful save. Same area of the net, too. It was arguably a better taken penalty than the first one, and just give credit to Perez. Perez she saves another one, and second penalty of the save of the game. Still only 2-0 USA. It could have been 4-0 USA if she didn't save it. And no matter like how the game ended for her, you gotta just hang your head up high. I mean, you saved 2 penalties against a tough opponent, and even someone said, what are the odds? But then again, she read both penalties all the way through, and did what she was asked, and made the score a lot more respectable than what it would have been if she didn't save. So kudos to her in the 68 minutes to keep Colombia in the game still. But then in the 91st minute, so first minute stoppage time, Megan Rapinoe, by the way, good to see her come off the bench and welcome back. As I said, I just ran through the lineup earlier on. Mixing old and new, and she's one of the veterans, of course. And she gets subbed in, I believe, around the 75th minute, maybe even the 80th minute. But she sends a free kick in and is headed home by, as another new name I said, which Taylor Korniak, which I said we would talk about her later on, and here she is. Taylor Korniak, and she heads it home and scores on her debut. First game, first goal. How about that? 3-0 USA. And it was a good header as she just smashed it home. And what a great impact and what a great first impression. And as I said, the USA now is 3-0. The scoreline ends, and it also ends 3-0 at the end of the match. As I said, the USA did grow into the game as the game went on, but credit to Colombia for putting up a fierce fight against arguably the number one opponent in the world. And they certainly made life difficult for the USA, especially in that first half. As USA could not break down the defense. Credit, as I said already, to Perez, the goalkeeper, for 2 penalty kick saves. In the same game. That is big to just keep the U.S. 2 goals off the score sheet. And what more could you ask, honestly, for the keeper? She had, aside from those 2 saves, she had a lot of other good saves, including great headed, hard saves. One-on-one saves. She just came up big, and I can't wait to see if she's going to do that again come Tuesday in Salt Lake City. And Colombia is probably going to put out a more experience or more lineup one more lineup that we might see what they're going to play for their qualifiers as well in South America. So Tuesday should be a fascinating game, but this game, as I said, the USA grew into it, and just credit Colombia though for the turnaround they had for the most part. That's number one. They had, as I said, the year not playing a game of the year, and now look at where they are, given how much improvement they had and how much time they had to practice. Kudos to Colombia, but at the same time, USA did find a way. They did eventually through Sophia Smith, not Sofia Huerta, but through Sophia Smith, found a way to break it down and found a way to find the back of the net. We're going to look at our stats now. And so we have 22 shots to 1 for the USA. As I said, lots of shots, but just couldn't finish it. 8 of those shots on target, while none for Colombia. As I said, Casey Murphy didn't really get tested this game. I believe, Casey Murphy didn't get tested. But the U.S., this was expected. U.S. was going to sit back and possess more of the ball, try and create chances and dictate the flow of the game. And it was up to Colombia to dig their heels in and stop most of the goals from going in, which this game, honestly, I can call for them a success. Look at the shots. Yes, Colombia didn't really trouble the U.S. They didn't trouble them at all, you can say. But look at how many goals the U.S. only scored rather than what could have and should have been scored, especially with those 2 penalty kicks. So, yeah, just look at that and just look at this. I call this game, the first game especially, a success for Colombia. And 73% possession to 27% possession. USA, as I said, would dominate possession as expected. 518 passes completed to 211 passes completed. 84% pass accuracy to 46% pass accuracy. 7 fouls to 17 fouls. No yellow cards or red cards or offsides called in this game. And 5 corners to none for the USA. And as I said, this game was just, it was a good game, a good test for the USA, a good friendly, definitely a lot better friendly than Uzbekistan, a team that was actually going to test you and, show how you break down a low block. I know Uzbekistan tried to play a low block, but we all know how that went. 9-1 and 9-0 for a couple games. It was rough, but, I mean, Colombia was going to be a lot more fierce, as we saw, as they proven today. I mean, nothing was going to get through there that easily, as we saw. They have a couple veterans themselves that are experienced and definitely know how to hold their lines. And look at the keeper, which rumor had that wasn't even their normal go-to keeper. So if she's coming up big like that, I mean, and that's not, she's like their second or third string goalkeeper. Can't wait to see what their starting goalkeeper does if she's going to play in Salt Lake City come Tuesday. So really looking forward to seeing what kind of team Colombia puts out on Tuesday, especially given how it's a nice performance they had in Colorado. Only 3-0, that is a success. I mean, I know it might not look like it on the score sheet, but you got to look. It's the score line doesn't do the game justice. There's a lot more that needs to be looked at like that. As I said, the penalties, kicks, they saved, wide open shots, great opportunities for the U.S. Came up big against. There's just a lot more you have to look into the game rather than just the score line itself. So the game, as I said, for Colombia, this was a great test and really great. They really gave the USA a really good test. And you mean finally, like in the U.S., as I said, that's always been a struggle, especially with friendlies, having to try and find an opponent that can really test you and that can really frustrate your opponent, really cause you to think in a way. And Colombia tonight did that. I mean, sure, the stats will say otherwise, but look at as I said, I mean, you just got to look at the whole game itself. I mean, USA definitely could have had more chances and definitely could have scored, but kudos to Colombia's defense and their keeper for just digging in and just playing a great game. And as I said, this was made a good game one prep for their all-important CONCACAF tournament for the U.S. Everything is on the line in Mexico, and that starts July 4th, so American Independence Day for them. And for Colombia, for South America for them. So looking forward to see what both teams can do come on the final game and the final preparation game on Tuesday in Salt Lake City. But that's pretty much all I got to say for this one. Just keep ongoing preparation. This was a good opponent, and only thing that the USA should do better next game is finishing in the final third. It could easily been a lot more, but at the same time, kudos to Colombia's defense for digging in, and curious to see what they can do come Tuesday. But if you like this video, this first video since I've done in a while, make sure you like, share, subscribe, tell your friends about it. Also remember to hit the bell notification, just like videos like these, where you know that a video like this hasn't been posted in a long time is posted, as well as any other video or content that you want to see. So with that, tell your friends there's one final game left in Salt Lake City, Utah, between these two teams before the all-important do-or-die tournament.